I'm Bill Slee, and I'm an emeritus fellow at the James Hutton Institute. That means I've retired, but they still give me a computer and a desk. And I was involved in the drafting of TESS. I was at the launch meeting in Potsdam, but I've now retired from full-time work at the Institute. And so it gives me a chance to A, do other things, and B, walk with a lighter step because I no longer have to do administration. I'm interested in community-led initiatives because personally I'm involved in the village I live in. I'm involved in the Mar Area Partnership, and we have a community interest company interested in community energy, but stalled largely because of planning difficulties. But I'm also interested at an academic level in trying to understand how bottom-up initiatives can grow and begin to meet what I would see as the enormous challenge caused by global warming, which I just don't see governments getting a grip on and acting nearly fast enough. I live, as I said in my talk this morning, not entirely without hope, but entirely without expectation.
You introduced the idea of a Swedish community, I believe.
No, it's Danish.
Danish, excuse me.
Yes.
That's been very successful.
Yeah.
But there are certain advantages it has over what we have here in the UK or other European countries. And what were the factors that made it particularly successful in your?
Well, I think Danish political culture is different. They don't have major oil or gas reserves, so they've had to think about alternative energy. They have much more active and I think dynamic municipalities, and they have certain elements of the legislation. For example, I think any external power company wanting to come into an area has to offer a 20% shareholding to local people. That's been discussed in the infrastructure bill. It's actually in the UK infrastructure bill, but it's not a clause that's been implemented yet. So you could empower communities much more. But actually, a French commune with 300 people in it has got more power than an Aberdeenshire town with 10,000 people in terms of its responsibilities for local resourcing, local delivery of services and so on. And actually, although we claim to have a very democratic system, actually at local level we don't have effective functional democracies. We have local authorities that low numbers of people vote for, and they don't represent individual communities, geographical entities and groups of people at all well, in my view. You asked about how we could change things at a municipal or local level. And I almost think we need to think about devolving budgets, about creating resource at much more community level than we have done in the past. And one of the great possibilities of community energy would actually provide a significant part of that resource. But again, the planning system's a real obstacle, and it's certainly almost a blanket ban on wind energy production in my part of Aberdeenshire means that you can't really consider a community power scheme because of landscape grounds. And I know some of your partners in TESS at Dunbar have strived to get wind turbines off the ground, but bumped in to essentially municipal constraint produced by planners who don't seem to understand community. And I think that's a real obstacle. And it's almost as though you have to re-empower democracy at a more local level, I think, in Britain. I don't mind a high-level local authority having control over education and waste management. But actually, in terms of local development, people feel very disempowered, I think. And other than making slightly smaller municipalities, or nobody wants extra tiers in local government these days because it costs. But at the same time, you don't want a disenfranchised, disengaged electorate either. And community enterprise, social enterprise, they're kind of building blocks that you could look to. But there needs to be some resourcing. They won't happen in a purely endogenous way. And that's where I think Nordic countries are rather better than Britain, in that they create the, what do we call it, the institutional infrastructures institutional spaces in which local initiatives can flourish much more.